You want me to put that on my todger?
She's taking the piss. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. It's commonly the case that many people fail to get their head around the fact that Harry's wife is completely incapable of seeing that she is the problem. Time and time again, I see in articles, hear about what people have stated in videos, see in the comments section on my own videos and below the line elsewhere, that people are perplexed and bemused by the fact that Harry's wife can't pick up on the various problems that she creates, the mistakes that she makes, and the unpopularity that she has. How can she not see? Becomes the repeated refrain. The answer is, her narcissism won't let her see. You can see it, he can see it, she can see it, they can see it, but Harry's wife cannot. That is the whole point of her narcissism. It doesn't allow her to see her faults. You may find it extraordinary that she is prohibited from seeing her failings, but that's the way that the narcissism works. It's almost like having a person following her around, and if there is a criticism, the narcissism whispers in her head, they don't know what they're talking about. And she goes, you're right, I agree. And then along comes another criticism. That person's a racist, whispers the narcissism. You don't need to listen to them. So Harry's wife doesn't. She doesn't stand there and think, but hang on a second, they might have a point. The narcissism always gets in first to ensure that there's never any self-doubt, that there's never any self-reflection. And thus, Harry's wife repeatedly believes that all of you are the problem and that she is just a decent human being trying to be a wonderful mother, glorious wife, humane philanthropist, talented content creator, making her way through the world. This is why she is the unflushable turd. This is why she keeps trying and trying and trying the various reinventions, the attempts to rehabilitate the image, because she simply cannot accept that she's the problem. You are the problem, not her. She's at it again. And this time, interestingly, it comes courtesy of an article in The Telegraph, written by Victoria Ward, although one wonders whether Victoria Ward has gone on holiday and instead someone has just passed a puff piece written either by Harry's wife and or a PR agency, because the content of this article is so pro-Sussex it's laughable. It's headlined, Why Harry's Wife and Harry's Fight Back Starts Now. Immediately I can hear you all say, it's far too late for that to happen, and it is. Nobody's going to buy it, but this doesn't stop Harry's wife from keep trying, because she has to always nullify those threats to control, maintain control over people and draw fuel. And it's what brings her to cause articles such as the one that I'm going to read to you in a moment to be written in the first place. Her narcissism won't let her back down. It's going to keep making her keep trying and trying and trying. And the only way that she will ever go away is when simply people don't bother with her any longer. So long as people read the articles, watch the videos, comment below the line about her, she will keep going because that's an audience that's there to be controlled. If there is no audience, then she will have to retreat and will then just deal with her own personal fuel matrix of people proximate to her rather than trying to function with one that is a worldwide fuel matrix. This article is an excellent example of the way that the narcissist operates with that indefatigable spirit of continuing the pursuit of the prime aims. It also is demonstrative of the way that the narcissist is completely unable to see their own failings. And whilst you would be spluttering in exasperation as to why can't she see it, the fact is, as I only explained yesterday, you're expecting a blind person to see. It's impossible. She can't. But what she will do is keep trying to tell you how wonderful she is so that you should accept it. You may want to have a chuck bucket to hand, because the contents of this article are likely to have you barfing your guts up, such as its level of sycophancy, and you might want to have something to hand that you could perhaps smash or squeeze to relieve some of your frustration of the idiocy of its content. With those warnings given, here we go. The Invictus Games, which kicks off in Dusseldorf next Saturday, has become a veritable jewel in the crown for the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Why her? They're not her games, although of course she attempts to make them hers. One of their most high-profile joint outings on the world stage, the week-long event, guarantees acres of media coverage, fuel, a need to control, and a chance to put on a united front, while at the same time demonstrating what their lives are all about. Helping others. Ha! Yes. It really states that. Together, the week after next, they will appear on the sidelines to cheer on the teams of veterans demonstrating their sporting prowess. For Harry's wife, 42, who will arrive in Dusseldorf a couple of days after her husband, it is an opportunity to show off her fashion credentials as she steps out day after day in carefully curated stealth wealth outfits in her favoured beige and cream hues. Permission to barf. For Harry, who will celebrate his 39th birthday in Germany, the Games is a hugely important personal project, one of the sole remaining legacies from his time as a working royal, and a hugely successful initiative of which he is incredibly proud. This year's event will mark a notable milestone, an opportunity to reset, to change the narrative. After months of headlines about royal family feuds and the bitter recriminations that accompanied the personal revelations made in his memoir, the Games will allow him to re-establish his reputation on the world stage. Not as the petulant spare to the heir, but as a leader, a military veteran, and a champion of the healing power of sport. They aren't done with their former lives, one source close to them insisted. They're not talking about family. There's no expectation that the family is going to show up or acknowledge it, or that anybody wants to see him. It's over. As an event founded during his time as a working royal, the Games also serves as a reminder of what might have been. One friend tried to encapsulate the complex emotions that it stirs. Invictus is so important to him and is very much a part of his former life, they said. It shows there could have been a world in which a hybrid model could have worked, but it also shows that in his new world and in his new life, he's still capable of accomplishing the things that are so very important to him. The Games is considered Harry's baby, a project on which he has long thrived and in which he takes immense pride. It will enable him to remind people who he is, but also show them who he plans to be, says another friend. He's nervous because he's an empath. It's also a huge undertaking. He's also so excited and enthused. For the Duke and Duchess as a couple, the event has long been integral to their public image. It was at the 2017 Games in Toronto that they made their first public appearance together, and it has been a joint venture ever since. As such, this year's outing could not be better timed, an opportunity to step out hand in hand amid persistent, yet totally unfounded rumours of trouble in their marriage and unsubstantiated tabloid headlines about trial separations and splits. They are just fine, one exasperated aide says, with an almost audible eye roll. They're in a good place and living as normal a life as they have ever done. While Harry will address the opening ceremony, childcare arrangements back home mean that Harry's wife will join him a few days later, and they will appear together at various events throughout the week, as well as the closing ceremony. Bar a brief, carefully choreographed video about cyberbullying released in early August, the pair have not made an official appearance together since they attended a New York award ceremony in May. an event swiftly overshadowed by a hotly debated paparazzi car chase en route home. The Duke and Duchess are no strangers to controversy, their very existence in Monty Shit Show being the result of a boat-rocking exercise of epic proportions. If they had sought a quieter, calmer life when they left the United Kingdom to plough their own furrow, the past 12 months have been anything but. The death of Elizabeth II only served to expose the gulf between the Sussexes and the rest of the royal family, the simmering resentment almost palpable, as the couple were treated like pariahs. Then came the 6-part Netflix series, closely followed by Harry's memoir Spare, packed with extraordinary revelations and indiscretions. Then the various court appearances in his battle with the media, a flying visit for the coronation, and the brutal premature severing of their lucrative Spotify deal, which sparked a flurry of painful criticism and accusations they had struggled to come up with ideas and were inexperienced as producers. Having made such a noise about being joined at the hip, with gushing analogies about entwined palm trees and salt and pepper pots, reality is setting in. Both have completely separate projects in the pipeline, which sources are again at pains to point out does not mean they are separating. Instead, the Telegraph is told, they will reflect their differing professional interests and talents and are the result of significant thought about their future direction and careers. The bumps in the road have been put down to growing pains. If you introduce a couple together and the world knows them together, and then they find themselves in a situation where they need to find their own projects and their own identity, there is going to be a lot of speculation, one source acknowledges. But on top of being a couple, they are both working on their own things. They are fully supportive of each other's concepts and ideas, but they are different from one another. They have different meanings. Everybody understands that they're not just going to stand still. In recent weeks, they have been photographed on different continents, hanging out with their own friends. Both clearly happy and relaxed, Harry enjoyed a lad's jaunt to Japan and Singapore with close friend Nacho Figueras, while Harry's wife has posed for social media selfies and has been pictured out and about in Monty Shit Show, shopping at a farmer's market and heading to the dentist, more of which later. It is perhaps no coincidence that other details about her carefree summer have emerged. She has apparently seen Barbie with friends, attended a Taylor Swift gig in LA, and surprised a hen party during a girls' night at the exclusive San Isidro ranch. Harry's wife is preparing to launch a major new commercial venture. There has been much speculation that it will be a version of Goop, Gwyneth Paltrow's multi-million-dollar lifestyle business, which few could deny would be right up her street. It's not Goop, but it is something that is genuine to who she is. That would seem to me that if that is not Goop, but something that's genuine to who she is, then it must be Poop instead. Her imminent return to Instagram is surely connected. Having amassed more than 110,000 followers, including Mandana Dayani, former president of Archwell, and Katie Lee, her hair colorist. Wow, big star pulling power, Without making a single post, she has already proved her pulling power. Really? Sources close to Harry's wife insisted that she has no plans to revive the TIG, the successful lifestyle blog that she shut down after meeting Harry. She's not even thought to be aware of applications to renew the patent, which aides say are merely a formality to keep control of the brand. Could the seemingly candid pat pictures of the Duchess nonchalantly lifting her hand to lift her hair to reveal an anti-stress Nucalm patch, nonchalantly my arse, as she walked to the dentist, be linked to this new venture in some way? If nothing else, the photographs, of which Harry's wife had helpfully rolled up one sleeve to expose her wrist, showed her huge commercial potential. The image was posted on Nucalm's Instagram page, and sales naturally took off. Harry, meanwhile, is working on his own project, which is in its infancy, but is said to be similarly reflective of who he is. Must be a program about a man chewing on crayons and playing with building blocks then. Their Netflix projects rumble along in the background, albeit largely stalled due to the Hollywood writers' strike. Although concerns have been raised that their multi-million-dollar deal is teetering on the brink, industry sources insist that is not the case. Much has been made of the fact that the streaming giant has stumped up a reputed £3 million for the film rights to Carly Fortune's Meet Me at the Lake, a romantic novel that will be produced by the Sussexes Archwell Productions. As part of the next phase of the deal, Harry is also hoping to return to Africa for a new documentary, although proposals are in their earlier stages. Heart of Invictus, his behind-the-scenes Netflix documentary that followed competitors as they prepared for the 2022 Invictus Games, was released last week. It is perhaps unfortunate that given the current desire to push forward and consign familiar gripes to the past, the series was used to launch another veiled attack on his family and the royal institution. Oh, I thought you were saying that they weren't doing that anymore. Immediately a contradiction. Harry's claim that he had no support structure as his life unravelled on his return from Afghanistan prompted the usual eye rolls among palace aides who have long accused him of suffering from a selective memory and are convinced he will never put an end to the jibes. Similarly, his complaint that the media did not cover the plight of injured military personnel returning from Afghanistan was bitterly contested, while, not for the first time, many military veterans and families of the bereaved questioned his motives. Most of the series was filmed some 2 years ago, long before the publication of his memoir and before he demanded an apology from his family. Fueled by years of therapy, the Duke had hoped that by laying his cards on the table, he would provoke a reaction, laying the foundations for reconciliation. Those phone calls, that apology never came, and it is now time to move on. The Sussexes have long generated talk of new chapters. Now, though, almost 4 years after they announced they were leaving the United Kingdom, they are finally settling into something resembling stability. The Games will mark the beginning of a new era as they move away from the royal bashing to focus on their soon-to-be-unveiled future careers. There you have it. Well, the new agency has certainly been working hard to ensure that this massive PR puff piece found its way into the Telegraph in an attempt to try and draw a line under what has been a very problematic year for the gruesome twosome. This is an attempt to whitewash everything, to cause everybody to think, look, there isn't a problem in their marriage. Yes, they've said one or two things which are perhaps unfortunate, but look, they're doing their own things, they're developing their own projects, and success is on the way in their soon-to-be-unveiled future careers. It's once again another attempt to rehabilitate the image, and it's quite clear that the agency has got its sticky fingers all over this in an attempt to do so. Whilst the Ultra, your glorious narrator, consumed breakfast earlier today, I read through the several hundred comments that accompany it. Those below-the-line comments, I saw 2 that were supportive of the Sussexes. The usual deluded nonsense about, good luck to them, live your best life, stop hating on them, that kind of shite. All the rest roundly criticised this piece as being vomit-inducing sycophancy, that they weren't buying it, that it was too late for rehabilitation to be achieved, detailing the various justified criticisms of Harry and his wife again and again and again. Some 800 or so comments that were critical of them. Now, the Telegraph is not going to be a place where they're going to find particularly many supporters, but it shows once again how she is taking the piss, although she doesn't think that she is, by having such a PR puff piece commissioned to try and pull the wool over people's eyes. And, of course, it singularly fails. It demonstrates once again her complete inability to read the room and to understand, and is such a brilliant example of the way that her narcissism functions. You have a clusterfuck of a year that has gone on. There's no doubt about it. You can pick again and again the fuck-ups that have taken place, and yet Harry's wife bowls up with this piece, which has clearly been commissioned by her PR agency in an attempt to get people on side, demonstrating that stoic approach to, they will love me if they just get to know me. They will love me if they're told often enough how wonderful that I am. And yet, in the immediacy of the presentation of this lengthy article, 800 comments immediately, the huge majority, we're talking something like a 0.02% support rate for them, that the other 99.98% turns and says, Up yours. Absolute nonsense. Don't buy any of it. It doesn't wash. Please, Foxtrot Oscar. But once again, it demonstrates the way that Harry's wife's narcissism functions, always driving her on in the belief that people will warm to her, that people will accept her narrative. And she just will not stop until she's consigned to obscurity. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.